So what I'm going to take you through now is I've just done the bathroom membrane, but I put the conduit in for the 240 and 12 volt, but I'll talk about what I've done and why in a second. We'll just go and have a look. So the membrane I've put in, over here, it's a bastion system. So 2 coats at least, and then taped up the corners. I've always double taped the corners where the shower's going to go. So the shower's going to go there. That's a portable toilet. That doesn't normally go there. So that's where that goes. So what I've done is I've got a recess over here for the shower, and I've got 2 spindles that are coming out. Yeah, I would have put a mixer in there, but I've got something available which I had, which is just one of these. Now this one here, you can recess in from this side. However, if you do that and you have a problem with the copper, then you've got to be able to take the tiles off and go through all that, the same as you would in a traditional house. Because I've got 90mm between the inside wall and the outside cladding, I'm going to recess that in from the back, and if I have to use spindle extenders, then I will. And I've done that before, and the thing is I can use what I've got around, which is that, and put it in the wall. What I've done over here, I've got 2 holes, and I've got one for 240 volt and one for 12 volt. They are separated apart by 12 inches, and the reason I've done that is that you might say, well, can't you run the cables up together? Yes, physically you can, but technically no, because it breaches all laws. Because when you have 12 volt and 240 running down, you can't actually have it running down the same conduit. There should be a gap between them, and that's the way you should run them. The same in the rest of the place I'm going to be doing is if I've got, so that'll be outlets, so they'll have 240 outlets, etc., even though they'll be running off an inverter. So the other thing is I've got a floor that's been leveled. The level I've used is like a liquid self-leveler. And then what I'll do is I'll use a marble leveler after that. So then I'll use another liquid on that instead of using tiles. It just saves me probably half a day with it, so I don't have to tile. Then I'm going to actually recess this one off the shower, so it'll just basically it'll just drift away down to the drain. There won't be any curb or anything like that, and there'll be a glass panel that goes up there. So I've still got to insulate everything. But that's just to show you the recess, and then you've got your power. It's very important. You've got to run your separate conduit for your 240 and your 12 volt. You're going to run into trouble otherwise, and it doesn't comply with anything if you don't. I've got a background in running hospital critical systems, and we run IP technology from the comms room, and then it'll be down 12 volt IP, so Cat 5 and Cat 6, and the 240 volt runs on a separate conduit. And then what I'll do is I'm going to run the switching from over here, light switching, and the light switching, all the lights are going to be 12 volt, so I can just run the one conduit up. I'm not going to run 240, but it's just so you've got power outlets that are 240 and 12, because I'll be running inverters in here. So that gives you a look at that. Again, membrane, double on the actual joins, and you have to put at least 2 coats on this, regardless if it's marine grade, ply, whatever. I've got 20mm substrate, so they're 20mm all round, and then I've double coated it with a waterproof membrane, especially behind the shower here, and then double taped any of the joints. And that's just to make sure nothing gets behind, because I've seen houses where I've pulled the tiling off after I bought it because the shower's a bit dodgy, and what happened was that it wasn't waterproof and the water gets behind it, and if you've got a timber substrate, it can get in there and cause issues. The other thing is where you've got holes over here, just make sure you put the the waterproof membrane in there as well. It just prevents anything from getting in there, even though you might be securing that and gluing it up or whatever, so nothing gets in. Just make sure you do that. So that's basically the shower and toilet, and then it'll have a vanity there, the 240 12 volt options, and then you eventually might go just to 12 volt, and then obviously on the outside I'm going to plumb it. I'm going to plumb all the copper on the outside, and then also the conduits for the electrical goes on the outside. That means if I've got to fix anything, same as the cistern, toilet, etc., I can get under the house because it's on stilts, and I can make any changes I need to it without having to pull tiles off and do all that. So I'm going to run everything down the outside so I can pull the cladding off. If I have to replumb, or if I've got to electrical do anything, just pull one of the cladding off, and away you go. Pull the insulation out by hand, and a 5-minute job, put it back on.